Hi, Turner Gable Kahn. It's so exciting to have you join me today on the rewrite. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'll share a little bit about you. So, you're the author of a debut novel, The Dirty Version. I will let you share a little bit more about it, but I just firstly, a huge congratulations for your
Thank
nomination
you.
of Romance Novel of the Year award. So
Thank you very much.
exciting.
Thank you very much.
And I did also want to read, because I love this quote from best-selling author Beth O'Leary, who read your book and loved it. She said, "This debut really stood out to me. The concept is great, bold, smart, and with a heroine I loved, and lots of interesting things to say about sex, art, and entertainment." I love the book too, and I just wanted to,
Thank
yeah, call
you.
that out. It's really cool.
Thank you. It was a huge honor to have Beth read and blurb the book. It was like I fell out of my chair.
Ah,
So,
yes. I would too, I think, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
And do you mind sharing in your own words just a little bit about the dirty version and what readers might expect?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The Dirty Version is a closed door literary romance about the indie author of a feminist dystopian novel that was sort of an underground sleeper hit, and it gets optioned for the screen. And instead of the very progressive film studio that she thinks she sold her rights to, the project falls into the paws of a very um, macho action movie director who wants to make it sexy, which is sort of the exact opposite of what she was aiming for in the book. And he wants to add steamy scenes to the adaptation. So he pairs the protagonist with an intimacy coordinator, and they're tasked with writing new scenes for the adaptation. And she thinks he is an agent of the patriarchy, and he thinks that she's an uptight academic. But as they start to work together, they discover things about each other and themselves and their chemistry. And I can't tell you any more than that. But they are on the journey of adaptation together, and so it's an enemies to lovers literary romance, but it's also really also about sex and power and entertainment and Hollywood behind the scenes.
Yeah, I love the Hollywood behind the scenes and understanding the whole Hollywood intimacy coordinator dynamic. And that with a rom-com is, or like a romance, is so exciting to read, but also the themes that you touch on with or go deep on, sorry, with feminism and those dynamics of control and power were really interesting to read. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, no,
Yeah, it
of
was really
course.
fun to write about. It was really, really fun to write about. So.
And how would you describe literary romance, contemporary literary romance?
Well, I read widely, but I'm a huge fan of romance, and I love the idea of a romance container, which is like the traditional romance arc is to me a great container. So literary romance allows you to use that container, but also to talk about other issues. And so for me, it was sex and power and entertainment and reclaiming your sexuality and what it means to be what authorship means today commercially, but it also primarily has a traditional romance arc. So you get both things.
I feel,
So
yeah, I do feel like you get a bonus. It's like,
yeah, I've heard people say like the literary part, like the book is in conversation with the world, but it's in the container of a traditional romance. So
yeah, I love that. And I know that for we've chatted before, and this isn't the first book that you've written,
yeah,
and nor the first book that you've queried. Because that can be such a stressful time querying, I
yes.
wanted to ask you, how did you know when was the right time to stop querying the first novel that you wrote?
The first book that I queried was a little bit to me almost like an informal MFA. I learned
Mm,
so much. It also like wasn't my first manuscript because like for me this was an iterative process, but it was the first one I felt able to query. Do you know how like when you're on query, you also should be doing other things? You shouldn't just be querying your book because you'll go
yeah.
crazy.
Yes.
So I already was working on this book. You know, I should remember the exact timeline, but I had gotten the reason that I stopped querying was because I got feedback from two different agents who had requested the full and then said I
Hmm.
just don't think I said and I kept getting I like we like your writing we don't know what to do with this project, but we like your writing. Let us know what, the next thing that you work on. And so
Mm,
it was just like, it was a gut feeling that I wasn't going to be successful with that project. And so I kind of put it on a shelf, and I'm very grateful to that project. And I learned a lot doing that project. And there may be like a time and place where I come back to it, but it was a little bit like, how long can you bash your head against the wall? So I gave it, like, it was a good go, and it had gone through the process of getting a couple of fulls. And so the feedback was consistent enough that I thought, okay, let me shelve this.
that's helpful to, yeah, it's hard to know sometimes what to do with the glimmers of
Right,
insights that you get
right,
from agents, but then if
right,
it's consistent, I guess
right.
that's quite helpful. So
Yes,
then having that feedback, which can also be a little bit hard to direct your next steps,
yes.
what then did you do differently with the next novel that you worked on?
Oh, so I did everything differently. So with the first project that I wasn't able to get representation for, I didn't have a real blueprint before I started, and I was sort of finding my way. And so, you know how people say there's like different types of writers, like you're either a planner or a pantser. And I guess I learned that I need to be a planner. So
Hmm.
for the for the dirty version, before I even started, I had a very, very clear outline. I had a blueprint. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I started working with a coach in during the end of the manuscript that I couldn't find representation for, and she is just the right person for me. And when we turned our attention to the dirty version, she didn't even let me start writing until I had been through sort of like, not 3 months, but a really good, like, solid foundation. I knew exactly where I was going, because in the past sometimes I'll like write to the midpoint, and then I'll be
Mhm.
like, oh well, they do it, so guess I'm not interested anymore. And so I really knew what was going to happen the whole way through with the dirty version, and that was really helpful for me. So I would say that was the biggest thing that I did differently. And then I put myself on a very, very rigorous timeline. So I wrote the dirty version in like 18 months, but
Amazing.
and I'm a very slow writer, so for me that was fast, but it was because like I cut things out of my life, and every Friday I was meeting a certain word count, and I was really disciplined about it. So
Yeah, and actually, speaking of carving out time, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because
sure.
I know that um, authors are now more and more expected to be part of marketing their own book and
Yeah.
having and developing a platform. How do you balance needing to post on Instagram, put yourself out there, and continue writing and doing what I
Yeah.
assume you enjoy doing more?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny because I asked the same question to other people that I admire, that I think I'm like, how is that possible? How are you so prolific or productive and also active on social media? So, to be honest with you, I really don't know. I don't know if like, maybe people have assistants that do it for them, or team. Like, I really don't know, because I find that social media for a creative person can be a soul killer for me personally.
Hmm.
Like, it could be generational. It could be, I don't enjoy it that much. I enjoy connecting with I can enjoy connecting with readers. I enjoy connecting with like book bloggers, who like that community of book bloggers that's active on social media has been kind of amazing, and I've loved that, and I've loved connecting with other authors. Um, but the requirement to have a platform and to be constantly posting, and and your publishers will just say to you, like, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, and it requires a lot of time if you want to do it well. And I think for a lot of writers, that's not necessarily our core competency. So for me, like right now, I'm in the middle, I'm halfway through another book. And so it just means that I'm not active on social media. So I like totally withdraw. Somebody else gave me really good advice. The writer Emily Smith, we share an agent, and she said to me that she gave herself, I think, a month before publication and 3 months after. And she just gave herself over to the process of promotion. And she said,
Mm.
stop trying to do both things, because there will be time for writing, but you're never going to have your pre-pub and post-pub time. And it's like super exciting and there's all that stuff going on. So she said, if I were you, I would give yourself over to it. And I did. So I would share that. That was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. So otherwise, I think it's really hard. I don't know how anybody does it.
I think that's really good advice because then you're not thinking, oh, I could be writing right
Right.
now, but I have to post. You're kind of like, no, I'm
Right.
in this and I'm
I'm in this.
engaging and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that
Um,
made it really fun. It made all the promotion really fun.
and then, so I wonder, as part of the publishing industry now, where that expectation is on the author to promote their own book, does that mean that you also have more say or input in terms of how the book is going to be marketed?
Not in
No.
my experience. You may talk to somebody else who might say yes. And maybe if you're somebody who's super established and you have a lot of clout or power, maybe. No, I would say like once, I mean, it's a little bit the deal that you make with traditional publishing, which I wanted to do. I wanted to publish traditionally for this book. Um, and you're so lucky for all the wonderful people who come in and make your book better and make your book into something that can um, connect with the readership. But that's a compromise, and so you're lucky for all the great things that come along with it, and then you have to give up a lot of control. So that would be the only thing I would say.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and I am similar where I just know I want to be traditionally published. But how would you say, the how would you compare that sort of traditional publishing journey versus what someone might experience on a self-publishing journey?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to speak to self-publishing because I don't know from firsthand experience. But my understanding is that once your book is out there, a lot of things are very similar. Like promotion is very similar, but finding a reader, the process of finding a readership is different. And I think so. So I don't know. I think that I definitely had the wrong idea about it beforehand. Um, but I think you probably retain a lot more control over positioning and things like that when you self-publish. And there's good and
And
there's bad to that.
yeah, and I guess then on traditional publishing, how does that sort of work where you sign a publishing deal and then is there sort of a team from the publishing house
Yeah.
that they will provide you? What does that look like?
Yes. I got really lucky. I was well, actually, my acquiring editor, the editor that purchased my book for my imprint, who I had such great chemistry with, and I really, really liked him, and he left after he acquired my book, which is
Oh, okay.
not uncommon. It happens a lot. And like editors and publishing move around a lot. And I got so lucky because my book ended up with a wonderful editor who treated it like it was her own. And she had some really brilliant ideas. And like my editorial process was not very significant in that, like, let's add zombies. Like it wasn't anything like that. But she had such a really nice touch with all the nuances of like of entertainment, sex, power, things that could have been that you needed to be treated delicately. I loved her
Mm.
ideas. And so your editor at your publishing imprint is sort of the person who is your team captain, and then for the rest of it, it became sort of opaque to me. I didn't get to see a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, but that is
Hmm.
your champion, and so she led, I think, the team of people who do publicity and marketing and graphic design and copyright and copy editing, not copyright, and all of those things.
They sort of act as your touch point to the rest of
Yes,
the
yes,
the team that's working
yes,
behind the scenes for
yes.
you.
Yeah. So like you have two people that you can always talk to, and that's like your agent and your editor. And then as it goes along, I spent a lot more time sort of in direct contact with the marketing and publicity people, but not at the beginning.
Nice. And something that when we talked about last time that I found really interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about what NetGalley is and how important that is for a debut novelist and also How does it feel going through that whole experience?
Do you know, I still can't explain NetGalley to anybody. And so I don't really know. I do know that when your book is coming out, it gets really like advanced copies go out to reviewers and bloggers, and it goes out on. So like NetGalley is a platform for them to access it and rate it. And NetGalley, like somehow like the Amazon reviews, the Goodreads reviews, and the NetGalley reviews all flow together, but it depends. Like I have three different publishers. I have a US publisher, a UK publisher, and a German publisher, and they're sort of like those reviews are siloed. I don't think they all get mixed up, or each of
Hmm.
those countries has their own site. So I think that they're so you know it's great. Like if you get great advanced reviews, your site like amazing. And like I don't write to I don't write to trends or to the market, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm sort of the only way for me to keep my head together is like I'm writing for myself, for specific readers, whatever. So too much noise isn't helpful to me.
And I suppose, yeah, a novel is such a long undertaking that you need to be
Yes,
interested in it in order
yes,
to finish it and feel
yes,
engaged.
exactly, exactly.
It is really interesting as well to hear that having different publishing deals per country, you might have a very different market or audience
Yes,
receiving the book in a different way.
yes,
It would be quite fascinating to
yeah.
see or understand that.
Oh, totally.
David
You have
Hasselhoff of Germany.
totally, totally. You have different covers, you have different blurbs, you have different positioning. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite cover?
I love all my, it's like saying I love all my children equally. I love all my covers
Yes.
equally. It's really fun. It's fun to see what each publisher comes up with. No, but it's so fun to see the different interpretations.
Fair, fair. Once your book gets published,
Yeah.
I imagine there's the high of the launch, perhaps book tour, and then there might be some lulls. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about what your experience was and how it felt?
There's definitely highs, like especially the very beginning. You just can't keep up with within the first month of your book coming out, you can't keep up with like the emails that come in and all the messages and also all your obligations because I think it used to be in the past people would tape podcasts and things like that. Like I think there was a lead up, but the way it happens now, or the way it happened for me, was that everything sort of happened at once. So you're doing like you're doing all your press sort of in the first month of your book coming out.
Mm.
Um, so like print has a longer lead, but there's less and less of print. It is busy, 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 and you know people come out of the woodwork that you haven't spoken to in a long time. So that's always really fun. And then at a certain point, it does taper off. And so if you don't have something else to work on, you will just be refreshing your inbox or, you know, like, or refreshing Instagram or whatever. And I think that could be a crash. So I would watch out for that for anybody who's doing it for the first time. It does get quiet. And, you know, somebody, I think it was a publicist who said to me, like in the US, and the US books are published on Tuesday, in the UK, books are published on Thursday.
Hmm.
So it's like every Tuesday there's something new. Every Thursday there's something new. You know, you're only new for so long and you're only bright and shiny and new for that period of time. And it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't need to be like books can become very popular on TikTok and Book Talk a decade after they're published, but book publicity is tied to when your book comes out. Yeah.
That's a really, yeah, helpful insight. And what did you do when you experienced that lull? Like, do you book a holiday? Do you book a
Well,
massage?
yeah. Well, so again, so my book came out in July. And so for me, so luckily there are like, this is sort of the great thing about it. Things are staggered. So you have a lot of online and digital press at the very beginning, but then I did book tour stuff after that. So that was sort of
Mm.
great. And then so I did bookstores and then I did book clubs, which was so fun so because I got to kind of spend my summer with readers. And it was amazing to either Zoom in or do some book clubs in person and talk to readers and sit around and talk with them. So to
The
me,
dirty
that was
version is the perfect book club book, I would
we
say.
We had
Yes, I
such a good time. Yeah, thank you. It was, I really, really, I mean, those book club circles were like some of the best time I had after my book came out. And talking to librarians, like the best time ever. So that I was able to, so for me, my timing was staggered. So it was like digital, then it was bookstore, and then it was book club. And book clubs, continue to go on. Like I still zoom into book clubs now. My book's been out for 9 months or something. So having events staggered was really helpful. And then also just like knowing when to switch off and just be with your
mhm.
family. And there's a constant thing that you need to remind yourself of, which is like I wrote a book and I published and it's out in the world. And there was a certain point for me before I had an agent, I just wanted to finish manuscript. I just wanted to
Yeah.
finish a manuscript before I died and give my best friend my password so that it would something would be on my computer and she could take it, if I wasn't around. Like that's really all I wanted. So anything that comes after that is gravy. So
I love that. And actually, I was gonna ask you, yeah, what has been the highest peak in the journey so far? And I
uh,
think for me, signing a literary agent, I'm like, I think that's gonna be the
yeah,
peak regardless of what comes. But for you,
yeah,
was it
yeah.
finishing that first manuscript?
I think like finishing the book was huge, and I was just so happy, and I really just thought this is enough. And I think it's something for me. It's a healthy way. Like this is enough, and I'm happy, and this is for me. And then I had like some things that were really meaningful to me were like people that I really respect who read the book and came back to me and like wanted to talk and have comments and things like that. Like that that to me is better than anything else. And then of course like getting a literary agent, that was amazing. But post pub, um, some things that like a little bit like pinch me moments, like when you get a chance to talk or meet authors that you really respect and whose work that you absolutely love and whose work influenced your own work,
Mm-hmm.
that's like I got the chance to talk to Annabelle Monaghan, who I absolutely like. It like Nora Goes
Yes.
Off Script was so formative for me when I was drafting the dirty version, and to be able to talk to her and get advice from her was huge for me. Or like the male lead in the dirty version is an intimacy coordinator, and I did intimacy coordination research when I was writing the book. But and Robbie Taylor Hunt vetted the book, and he's this absolutely amazing intimacy coordinator. But after the book came out, I also got the chance to like chat with other really high profile intimacy coordinators who love the book and were excited to see what they do in a novel. So that was really fun. So there are lots of different highs, and I just kind of hold on to them because writing is lonely, and there are lots of lows as well. So
Yeah. Oh, those are all wonderful examples, and it just shows,
yeah.
yeah, the writing the novel can be quite lonely, but then what it brings out into the world is really special. So, and then I guess another thing that you would have been doing as your first book was published is working potentially on the next one. Are you able to share any, are you sticking to your current genre? Do you think you're going to carve that space, or how did you go about thinking about your next novel? And how much of is your agent and your editor a part of that sort of discussion, or are they not?
I'm really lucky in that both my agent and my editor are very much like you do what you want to do. I wasn't obligated to deliver something related to the dirty version. However, I am working on another literary romance that is connected to the dirty version in that the setting is a minor character in the dirty version's wedding. So
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm working on a book about a stand-up who is forced to coach the wedding speeches at her best friend's wedding. And that book draws from my own experience as a first-person storyteller, and it's set in a place that I really love. So I'm really enjoying the process and kind of seeing where it takes me. Um, So I feel lucky that I had a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to do. Right now, I'm not switching genres. I'm not saying that'll never happen, but yeah, no, I feel like there's still stuff I want to say in this genre with this genre. So
Amazing. That sounds really exciting. I can't
yeah,
wait to read it.
fun.
I wanted to circle back and congratulate you again on Romance Novel of the Year nomination.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about how nominations for awards work and how it's felt? As you mentioned, 9 months since the Dirty
Yeah.
version was published. How does it
Yeah.
feel?
Oh, it was like, it's so thrilling. It's so, so, so thrilling. And so the Romantic Novel of the Year award, it's such a huge, huge honor. I believe the nominations, I know that they're reader judges. I believe that maybe, well, obviously, I'm nominated in the debut category. So debut novels that came out in 2025 are eligible. And I know they consider like over 500 books. So it's like it's a huge
Wow.
honor to make the short list. Yeah. So I don't know exactly how the inner workings of the organization go on, but I am going to London for the award ceremony later in May. And I'm very excited about it because, again, like it's just so nice to connect with other writers. That is something that like I don't know that I would have expected. I don't have a huge I don't have a huge literary community. I don't write in a writing group. I have a group of writer friends that get together and we all sort of like share our woes and support each other. But I'm not in I don't have a critique partner or anything like that. So it's always really fun for me to get together with other writers.
Amazing. Well, yes, I will be, yeah, keeping my fingers crossed for you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it sounds like you've already won by being
Uh,
nominated.
yeah,
Yeah, huge, all the best for
yeah.
the
Thank
awards in
you. Thank
London.
you.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
We might pivot to the rapid fire questions. I have a
Sure.
few for you. This podcast is called The Rewrite. So if
Yeah.
you could go back and rewrite one thing you thought you knew about becoming an author early on, knowing what you know now, what would it be?
I would say I wish I had known that I wish I had known how much discipline it requires. And had I known that, I think I would have been disciplined earlier.
Hmm.
Because I think when you're young, there's a tendency to think like, wow, God, like somebody's going to recognize my brilliance and an agent or an editor will want to pick this up. And that's just not how it works. It is just blood, sweat, and tears. So I think my path would have been clearer sooner if I had known
It's hard to balance that sort of hopeful naivety you need as
that.
an early
Yes,
writer because also you don't want to scare yourself away.
I know.
Um,
And then maybe there's a time and a place in your life where you're ready for it. I know this is rapid fire, and that just took me a really long time to answer. So
the
sorry.
question was really long as well, so no, that's helpful to know. Okay, this one might be controversial.
Yeah.
Kindle or paper book?
Mm, both. Both. I read so much that I tend to read on a Kindle a lot, but I love a paper book, especially when I'm traveling. So paper if I can. It's not always
Yeah,
practical.
I should have mentioned audiobooks as well.
I love audio. I love my audiobook narrators. I'm not a big. I don't. I like to hold and read, but I love my audiobook.
What's one of the most unexpected things you've experienced since getting published?
How supportive other writers are and can be, and I just mean that like more is more is more, and I tend to find that like there's no cutthroatness in this. The sort of like pay it forward and help each other out, and the supportive community that I found, definitely didn't expect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on the flip side of unexpected?
No, I mean, I would say I did not expect, and like, with that, and again, like, I don't like to take in negativity. I did not expect um, how vicious sometimes people can be in their comments and their reviews, and how disproportionate their anger can be about things that I'm passionate about the books I read too, but I don't necessarily think that people should look to writers of fiction for like answers to what is going on politically in the world. And I don't think that, and I think sometimes people don't, I'm critical of books that I read too, right? You talk to your friends about it and you're like, oh, I didn't like this, I did like that. But like there's a person behind that book and somebody spent X number of years of their life writing that book. So sometimes like to take to social media and just trash something either in a review or in a comment and a post is can be brutal.
It's almost, it might actually feed into the positive thing you said there, where it means that the community of writers becomes even stronger because there's that sort of like disparity then sometimes
Yeah.
in the online
Yeah.
world. What are you reading now?
Ooh, I'm always reading. I just finished a book that I love by a British debut author called Dandelion is Dead, which
Okay.
uh, is a romance. It's a debut romance about it's like it's funny, it's sexy, and it's also about grief. And I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And I just finished Emma Brody Into the Blue, which is about improv comedy um, and two actors, and I really really enjoyed that. And I just finished Emma Straub's American Fantasy, which is about a boy band cruise, and I also really enjoyed that. So I'm always sort of like, yeah, and then I forget what I just read, but yeah,
Yeah.
I loved all of
I,
those books.
and a book you'd love to see adapted into a TV show or movie.
I have one that I have been saying forever, and nobody's listening to me. There is a trilogy called the Captive Prince trilogy. The author is C.S. the Cat. She's Australian. I think it is so brilliant. It's like alt history gladiator, and I don't understand why it doesn't exist as as movies because I just think it is the absolute best thing. It would be so good. So that's my number one. And I also think I'm a huge fan of Kat Sebastian. She writes really cool books, and her recent books that are sort of like set in the 1940s and 50s about baseball and German journalism in the U.S. I feel like those need to be adapted as well. So I'm rooting for those.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say you can say the dirty version as well.
Oh, and the dirty version, yes, number one on my list. Yeah, please. Yeah, we're working on that.
Awesome. Ooh, anything you want to share?
Not yet, but we are working on it.
Ooh, if you could choose two actors to star in a film adaptation of the dirty version, who
Ooh,
would they be?
ooh, okay. So this is a little bit cheating, but not cheating, but Connor Story from Heated Rivalry is like that would be my number one
Yes.
for Caleb. That would be my absolute dream, and we'll see.
Put it in the
Um,
universe.
put it in the universe. Let's see. And there is an American actress named Amita Rao. She was in Deli Boys and Adults, and kind of love her for Tash.
Yes.
So I will also put that in the universe. Call
Um,
me. So those are my two. Those are my two top picks.
Final question. Any parting words of wisdom for those looking to be published or maybe debut novelists who are going through what you have in the past 9 months?
I think don't take in too many disparate voices. I think there's so much out there and you could listen to so many people. And for the most part, I actually think the system works. Like as crazy as the system is, like getting an agent, selling to a publisher, the system can work and does work, but I just wouldn't take too much in. I would pick two trusted voices, I would put my head down and I would just do the work. And it takes time and patience and discipline and persistence, but you never know. Sometimes great things happen. So that would be my advice.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Turner Gable Kahn. Really appreciate your time today. And it's
Thanks
been,
for
yeah, a
having me.
pleasure. No, a pleasure listening and talking with you.
It was great to talk to you, Sammy. Thanks a lot.